Welcome to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm Krista Ross, your host, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. In tonight's episode, we'll be meeting 3 winners of the Atlantic Business Magazine Top 50 CEO Awards. We'll meet Keith McIntosh, President of PQA Testing. We'll meet Amit Vermani, founder of Navaco Power. And first up, we're going to meet Joanne Gallant, President and CEO of the Fredericton International Airport. Recently, you were selected as one of the top 50 CEOs in Atlantic Canada by Atlantic Business Magazine. Tell me how that felt.
It was a lot of joy. It's so exciting when you see one of those achievements, and you were blessed with that too this year. It's just a recognition that, for a lot of the hard work, but not just for one person, for the whole team and for the community and the airport.
Tell me about the career and business milestones that you think may have contributed to being selected as one of the top 50.
2019 for sure were our best year as in passengers, as in airline service, as in revenue. We've seen double-digit growth, like in the 20%. And in the last 5 years, if you back it up, it's been bringing competition to a community where you saw travel really going up. And plus, we undertook a $32 million construction project that we did in partnership with the province and the feds, and working with our stakeholder to really make that happen. Our contribution also to mental health, our involvement with the community. So I think all of those were factors.
Tell me a little bit about that involvement with mental health. What's that all about?
Well, we chose one charity because there's so many out there that we just wanted to make a difference. So by choosing one, you're able to focus and try to raise more dollars and more awareness. And we've done some special things like the Runway Run that brought people to the airport and families getting involved and so on.
Joanne, tell us a bit about your career history and what brought you to where you're at today.
I started out in the fitness world, but I knew I wanted to do other things, so then worked for a marketing firm. I also worked for the province of New Brunswick back in the days where I was director of trade. So my markets were France, UK, and Germany. So really got a chance to work on developing new markets in Europe. Because I was doing so much development with airlines, kind of made the hop to airports. They came to me and said, look, you're doing that anyway, so why don't you come and work for the Moncton Airport? So I did 10 years at the Moncton Airport, so really part of that growth of tripling in size as in passenger. And then to Fredericton, CEO of the airport of Fredericton, which was really exciting times.
COVID has had a huge impact on your industry and on your organization. Tell me a little bit about that.
We're really navigating this storm, so challenging at all levels. You have to really dig deep to every morning to say, look, we're going to look for opportunities, we're going to get out of this, and we're going to come out of it strong on the recovery.
What type of time frame do you think it's going to take to get out of this situation?
The air industry could take 5 to 10 years to really get back to where we were last year. We're conscious that there's going to be a pent-up demand. So I think when the pandemic, when we have a vaccine or we have a system in place that people feel safe, I think people will get back to doing their business.
So tell me about the team at the Fredericton International Airport. How many people and how's it structured?
It's a small team, like we're in the 25 number for employment, but the thing is that there's over 600 people that has job related to the airport, right? So because we have so many tenants, because it's a complex operation, you've got airlines and you've got Capital Airways and Forestry Protection and the air ambulance and all of these MFC, which is the flight college. You have all of that who are working out of the Fredericton International Airport. So I'm seeing the team at the Fredericton Airport as a bigger team.
So recently the airport has undergone a huge construction project. Tell me a bit about that.
We're like 3/4 of the way done. We'll probably be done in January. So we're looking at a renovation, at an expansion. You've got just the whole thing has been redone. The efficiency of the ticketing area to your baggage, chess piece that's going to establish at the airport, going to serve coffee, muffins and sandwich and soup and so on. So we're really excited. Playground for the kids, play area, high-tech chairs, where you can plug in all your electrical devices. So it just elevates the airport to where it should be.
I'm wondering who you would consider your clients to be at the airport. Do you consider your clients to be the people who are flying? Do you consider it to be the airlines? Do you consider it to be some of the tenants that you've mentioned? Who would you consider to be your clients?
One of your main client is your commercial air service, right? And then you've got your passenger, and we share those clients. So the airline and us, the airport, we share the passenger. So we have different strategy for each client.
Joanne, who would you consider to be YFC's competition?
Airlines have a certain amount of assets of aircraft, and you're convincing the air carrier that the best place to put that asset, that aircraft, is in Fredericton International Airport or in Fredericton area or in New Brunswick. So basically, I see that as more our competition. We're competing with the rest of the world. When you've got competition, you always try to elevate, move to the next level.
What did you find challenging in the big picture of operating the airport?
Before COVID, we were dealing with pilot shortage. We were dealing with Boeing, the aircraft 737-800 that was out of service for a while. So we're dealing with those type of things. And then during COVID, now you're dealing with making sure that, you know, we're servicing passenger where it's only essential travel and you have high restrictions. So you're always trying to stay ahead of the trend of the business while running a highly secure, safety, highly regulated environment.
As a CEO, what is the most difficult challenge that you faced?
It's always making sure that we move to that next level, that we are able to best serve our community. But then we work with amazing stakeholders and we always figure it out.
Would you say that there are unique challenges in your industry or with regards to regulation? I'm assuming there must be.
We are federally regulated while running a business. So you want to be profitable, you want to employ people and so on, but then you got to meet a certain standards. So it is making it quite complex because some of it is very costly.
Tell me about organizations that have helped the airport get to where you are now and what's happening.
Like the Chamber has been tremendous in our lobbying efforts, right? And not just once, like so many times, they're always there. The city has been also amazing in supporting us. UNB, McCain, Ignite, local entrepreneurs like Maritime Helicopters, they've all stepped in like to help at different times.
I know one of the things I've heard you speak of on numerous occasions is the importance of Base Gagetown to the airport. Tell me about that.
They move people back and forth from the rest of Canada on a regular basis because it's a training facility. So that creates a lot of air movement for us. So I would even dare say they're about 20 to 30% of our market.
I heard a statistic recently. We're 12th in Canada in terms of air traffic. Tell me about that.
But the reason we have so much air movement is that we have the flight college that does training here at the Fredericton facility. So on top of your commercial service, you've got a lot of air movement, which is good because the flight college, for example, creates a ton of jobs, right? Like 80 jobs just right there.
What do you see as next for the Fredericton International Airport? Where do you see things in a year or 3 or even 5 years out?
We're gonna have this amazing terminal building, right? So it's the rebuilding now during a pandemic. So bring all those service back and then better than it was before.
Welcome back to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm Krista Ross, your host, CEO at the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. In this segment, we're going to talk to Keith McIntosh, President of PQA Testing. Recently, you were selected as one of the top 50 CEOs in Atlantic Canada by Atlantic Business Magazine. How did that feel?
It's always really nice to be recognized among your peers and rewarded at home.
Would you say this was a pinnacle of your career, or where do you place this in your career path?
That was a busy week for me. On the Tuesday, we got the top. I got the top 50 award, and it's fun. But Wednesday, I received an award from Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business, which was the award for excellence in Aboriginal relations. And that's a national award. If I was talking about what a pinnacle of what my career's been, I would say that next night was a little bit higher.
So what provided you the passion to be interested in starting an Indigenous company and training and employing only Indigenous people?
So the idea from Plato came from an opportunity I had to be part of the Governor-General's Canadian Leadership Conference. We were learning about a different part of Canada, and ours was Montreal and Eastern Townships. And we go to see this K-6 school on a reserve just across the river from Montreal. And we get off the bus, and the kids come running out to greet us, and they come running out, the door flies open, and you can smell this really terrible smell. And we asked the teacher, what's that smell? And it's the water. You can see the skyline of Montreal, which is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and you can't drink the water in a K-6 school. And I said, well, what can I do? What's my part? And the part is we create opportunities for Indigenous kids to get into IT.
That's an amazing story, and if only more people could ask that question, what can I do? How did the idea come about for PQA originally?
I got an opportunity to test software for Sam Masri. It was Universal Systems at the time, and then Caris. I found I really like it. Testing's not for everybody, but I look at things differently. I look at what can go wrong. How can I stress something? So I'm good at it. I like that, and it went from there. 2 years later, after I started the company, we had Y2K, and Y2K. If you were a tester, if you ran a testing company in Y2K, you could basically write a number on the bottom of the check, and they'd sign it. Our first outsourcing client, the first work we brought to New Brunswick from away was from Apple. And if you're going to start a services company, you might as well get Apple as your first client.
Keith, tell me a bit of your own career history and your background. What led you to where you are today?
There was a project going on here in town. First crack at the hospital billing Medicare system here, and they needed some expertise, and I happened to be doing it in Ottawa, so I just took a chance and said, I can help you, and did it as a consultant, and it's grown from there. So PQA has been doing that kind of testing for a long time, and then 5 years ago, I founded Plato testing, which, I had one idea at work, so I thought I'd do it again. Plato is 100% Indigenous employees, but then after we get the idea going, we discovered, you can't just hire Indigenous, we also have to train them. There's not enough people out there to hire that have the right training. So Plato, unlike PQA, is a training and testing company. When they complete the course, we offer them full-time employment.
So how many people work at PQA today, and where are they located?
We have 9 offices across the country. The first one here in Fredericton, and we went to Vancouver in 2010, and now we're in 6 provinces, 9 different local cities. So there was probably about 180 between the two companies at the peak in March. We put a few on furlough at that time, but we're back. I think there's still 5 or 6 people we haven't managed to bring back, so we're coming back to where we were.
As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, do you think that you're entrepreneurial in nature, or are you operational? What type of business owner are you?
I'm operational. I wouldn't have thought of myself as an entrepreneur until people started calling me an entrepreneur. I grew up on a farm, and if you're going to grow up on a farm, you are an entrepreneur right from practically the minute you're born.
A lot of people talk about work-life balance. How does that work for you? How do you balance your personal life or your family life with your work life?
I seriously do this every minute of every day, every day of the year. But it's not constant, right?
Do you find it challenging to find the right people for your team, or are there lots of people out there that want to come to work in this type of work?
There are far more jobs in IT than there are people to fill them. So, but it is hard to find people. We have the advantage of that we are all across the country, and we can hire and find talent in wherever it exists a little bit.
Who would be your main clientele for PQA and for Plato, and how do you find clients?
We have a sales team across the country. We have a marketing team so we use social media and different things like that. So we're trying to go out and spread the word, but the best way to find clients is by doing a good job. We have 2 types of clients. One would be smaller businesses that need have an individual need for one thing. Then we have our enterprise clients. One of our big clients is BC Lottery.
You're a long-term Fredericton business. You founded PQA more than 20 years ago, when you and I were both in our teens. What do you attribute your longevity?
I've never done this with the idea I can sell it to somebody else, or that we can, investors ever and grow bigger, you build something here and you build it and operate. It's not a build and sell, it's a build and operate. You don't have to go to Toronto to be successful. You can do it here in Fredericton. You can do it in New Brunswick.
What do you find challenging as an entrepreneur?
I find that there's not enough time to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there. I find stuff doesn't move fast enough. As an entrepreneur, there's a problem, let's fix it.
What would you say has been the most difficult thing that you've experienced or faced as a business owner?
What we're doing right now is there's nothing else that even comes close to comparing to the challenge of sorting your way through this. We just had a team meeting here yesterday, and it was asking, are we better off today than we were this time last year? And there's mixed answers, maybe yes, maybe no, well, but the answer is yes.
How do you feel about the economy and the business environment here in New Brunswick? What do you think the opportunities are?
I think there are huge opportunities. I think we've proven that, I think two things for our business and for New Brunswick in a whole is, the last 8 months, this pandemic has showed us you don't need to be in an office in downtown Toronto or downtown Calgary to work. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know about the geopolitical aspects of that, but from a business point of view, if there's reason for somebody to use me instead of somebody in India or Chile or wherever, then that's a good thing.
So what is the best advice that you've been given in your career?
Being passionate about what you do and staying true to that is a pretty good way of doing business.
We started this conversation talking about you winning the award of being one of the top 50 CEOs in Atlantic Canada. But something interesting this year is that there were 8 of the top CEOs from Fredericton. What do you think about that?
I'm surprised there aren't more. There's so many businesses that have that same idea. Let's start here, let's do it here. So I think it's great that there's that many. I think it's always good to have.
If you had to say one thing in your career that you're the most proud of, what would it be?
What we're doing with Plato and the whole bringing work and trying to be a piece of the solution for the reconciliation, Indigenous reconciliation is everything else is fun. Plato lets you see that you're changing somebody's life.
Welcome back to Business Insight Fredericton. In our final segment this evening, we're going to talk to Amit Vermani. He's the founder of Navaco Power. They're pioneering green energy. Recently, you were selected as one of the top 50 CEOs in Atlantic Canada by Atlantic Business Magazine. How did that feel?
Bit of a shock, to be quite honest, but a happy surprise to hear that. Received some recognition for the work that we've been doing. And I must say, it wasn't so much myself receiving the award so much as the team. I wouldn't be in a position to receive it if it wasn't for the folks that I surround myself with.
You were selected in the startup category, and there were only 2 recipients in Atlantic Canada in that category. Tell me about that.
Goodness, it's now been 4.5 years in operation. We've been growing quickly over the last 4+ years. We're building now a 20 megawatt wind farm, so that's approximately a $40 million infrastructure project to power about 9,000 homes. And since then, we are now moving into solar. So we're taking this office building, adding solar to it. It'll be the largest rooftop solar array that's privately owned in the province.
Atlantic Business Magazine's Top 50 CEO Award is usually a large gala with lots of people. This year it was virtual. Did you and your team celebrate in some special way?
We did. So we tried to remain in a socially distant and responsible manner. Had a party here at the office for about 4 or 5 of us, and we watched the awards. So it was a good night.
Tell me about your career and business milestones that you think were the reasons behind being selected for this award.
So be it the great mentorship I received from other entrepreneurs here in the city of Fredericton, or again, the team members working here at Navaco. Those are the people that have allowed me to reach those milestones, such as winning such a large infrastructure project. We're the only New Brunswick company that is actually building jobs here in New Brunswick and developing to own and operate such a large infrastructure project in the renewable energy industry.
Has the company or have you won any other awards in the short time you've been in business?
We won the Energy Efficiency Award from NB Power for their energy efficiency awards that they had for the Rising Star category. All right, we had the Eco Hero Award through the Conservation Council of New Brunswick, along with a few other awards that we've recently received.
Tell me the story of Navaco. How did it start and what do you do?
Back in high school, I received a really great opportunity between Shad Valley and some of the great teachers at Fredericton High School. They got me involved with a summer program after doing the summer course with Shad, and that was involved with working for NB Power. So I actually spent a full summer and then interned with them for a full school year before leaving for university on the energy marketing desk. So approximately 13, 14 years ago, that's how I was initially introduced to the industry. Since then, for moving forward and the actual creation of Navaco, we saw there was this deep need in the province for clean energy solutions that are cost competitive. And we thought that this is an industry where we can make a great impact.
Amit, tell me, how many employees are here in the company with Navaco, and what's the structure? How many on the management team? How are you set up?
So right now we're managing a total of 21 people on the go. Coronavirus hasn't meant a shrinking so much as it's meant a rapid expansion.
Who would be the clientele that you have for Navaco? Who are your customers?
Currently, our primary clientele would be government or utilities, so publicly owned utilities like MB Power, privately owned such as Emera. We are now starting to focus more on small to medium-sized business. Everyone uses power. It's usually in their top 3 or top 5 operating costs, the most expensive operating costs that they have. And that's someplace we see we can provide a solution.
And how do you do that?
So we take 12 months of their energy bills, do an assessment, and say that this is what your present bill is working with your utility, and this is what it could be if you were to host some solar panels on your rooftop.
What do you find challenging as an entrepreneur?
Outside of making work and family life balance, maintaining that sense of poise and confidence that you know what you're doing.
How do you feel about the economy and opportunities for business here in New Brunswick?
Coronavirus definitely took a bite out of things, but I see there's a lot of great opportunities, especially if you're willing to look at present legislation and how business is conducted and willing to innovate.
In your industry, what do you think the opportunities are there?
So I see there's significant potential just in Atlantic Canada alone, and that's not talking about Western Canada or our expansion that we're currently looking at doing into the Caribbean markets.
Do you have any unique regulatory issues that other industries wouldn't face?
There are some interesting regulatory challenges with trying to offer an energy solution to the end consumer or to the end business owner. That's not to say that there aren't ways to properly structure a deal that's in the best interest of not only yourself, the business owner, but also the community at large.
Along your entrepreneurial and business journey, have there been organizations that have helped you?
The Chamber of Commerce, always been there right from day one. There have been some environmental NGOs that have definitely taken interest in our work, like the Conservation Council in New Brunswick. There are a number of other more national organizations, such as the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, that have been there and have provided some good insight, CFIB at times where we've needed to call them up for asking for some advice. They've been there too.
What's the best advice that you've been given as an entrepreneur?
You need people who can help you and be able to talk to and decompress and then see, no, things aren't that bad, and give you a breather so you can then go ahead and reorient yourself.
If you could name one thing in your career or in this business that you're the most proud of, what would that be?
Not having to let people go in the midst of a pandemic. I think that's a big one right up there.
Huge, actually.
Yep.
What's next in the business?
Moving to the Caribbean market, moving out west.
We're always looking for great companies with a unique story to feature on the show. If you have suggestions, please get in touch with us.